In a small garage, one man is chasing the impossible. What started as a dream to build a motorcycle that could ride through storms soon turned into a full-scale engineering battle. No sponsors, no million-dollar lab, just pure determination, a handful of tools, and one mind refusing to quit. Today, we follow the journey of a creator who built not just a bike, but an entire factory, from scratch, right in his garage. This is the incredible story of Benny, the engineer who dared to challenge the rain itself. This isn't your typical motorcycle. It's a fully sealed, all-weather machine built to defy the storm. And behind it stands Benny, a former satellite engineer turned full-time innovator. His rule is simple. If you can dream it, you can build it. His biggest challenge? The wraparound canopy, a massive curved shell that could only be shaped using an industrial thermoforming machine costing over $100,000, way out of reach. But Benny refuses to back down. So, he decides to build the entire machine himself using hardware store parts and a vision that won't die. To make things tougher, he sets himself a hard deadline: 90 days before the country's biggest motorcycle festival. The countdown begins. Before he can even think about the canopy, Benny needs the perfect base. He starts by recycling the frame from one of his old projects. The first step: reassembling the rolling chassis. After 2 long days, the skeleton of the bike comes alive again. He bought it for $3,000, his first major expense. But to make room for the canopy, the riding position must drop. That means cutting and reshaping the seat structure, a risky operation that could destroy the entire frame if done wrong. Every weld, every cut matters. The factory seat is no longer usable. He must rebuild it from scratch. 10 days of sweat and precision later, the foundation is ready, and the real challenge is just beginning. To form the canopy, Benny needs to shape large plastic sheets, a process called thermoforming. In simple terms, it uses heat to make plastic soft, then vacuum pressure to mold it over a shape. But a factory machine that does this costs more than most cars. So, Benny does what he does best. He builds his own. It all begins with the mold. The canopy must fit perfectly, so the mold has to be flawless. He crafts a steel skeleton first, perfectly matching the bike's curves. Then he layers it with expanding foam, a lightweight, smart solution to fill the shape quickly. Once hardened, he sands it into smooth curves. Ordinary tools can't handle this precision, so Benny improvises, designing his own sanding tool. Layer by layer, he coats the surface with body filler, sanding it to perfection. For 6 exhausting days, he works up to 15 hours straight, just to create this single, perfect form. Now, it's time to build the heart of his homemade factory, the thermoforming machine. Instead of a steel frame, he finds an old $600 trailer and transforms it into a custom oven. 20 days gone, and time is now his biggest enemy. He lines the inside with reflective foil to trap heat and installs 10 household heaters to replace expensive industrial burners. It's a risky move. The load is massive, 12,000 watts of power. A single short circuit could turn his garage into ashes. To be safe, he divides the heaters into 5 circuits. With one switch, his homemade oven comes alive, glowing, powerful, and ready to shape plastic. But heating is only half the process. To pull the plastic into shape, he needs a powerful vacuum system. So, he builds that too, from scratch. The setup includes a double-layered table, 3 large vacuum tanks, and a network of pipes. Materials alone cost him another $1,200, pushing his total to around $4,000. The way it works is genius. The pump first creates a vacuum inside the tanks, and when a valve opens, the sudden suction force pulls the hot plastic tightly over the mold, locking in every curve. To ensure airtight sealing, Benny adds rubber gaskets and drills hundreds of holes into the table. It's meticulous work. 22 days gone. Only 48 left on the clock. The garage feels smaller, hotter, louder, but Benny keeps going. The final piece, a 4mm polycarbonate sheet worth $400, is ready. Every test now has a real price tag. When the first test begins, tension fills the air. The heaters roar, the plastic softens, then disaster. The mold cracks under pressure. Weeks of work gone in seconds. Benny doesn't stop. He rebuilds. He analyzes the failure, realizing the oven wasn't hot enough. His fix? Add 5 more heaters, 15 in total, and cut the oven in half to concentrate heat. Then, in a daring move, he decides to hang the entire structure from the ceiling, reducing cooling time. It's dangerous. Hundreds of pounds of metal and wiring suspended overhead. But this is his only shot. Money is tight. Materials are running out. The festival is weeks away. But Benny refuses to quit. The new setup is airtight, stronger, and more efficient. Another $700 spent, but the results show promise. The plastic heats evenly now, and suction is stronger than ever. 14 days remain. He loads a new sheet into the oven. Another disaster. The shape collapses again. 2 failed attempts, days gone, and nerves shattered. He switches materials, this time using acrylic, which softens faster. But even that test gives a shallow pull. He tries again, reheating the same plastic, firing the vacuum twice in desperation. It almost works. Almost. The festival arrives, but the anti-rain motorcycle isn't ready. Frustrated but proud, Benny brings one of his older custom bikes instead, and the crowd loves it. A small victory, but the real dream still waits in his garage. After the festival, Benny returns to finish what he started. The mold is too tall. It's physically impossible for the plastic to fit over it completely. So, he takes a hammer and saw to the masterpiece he spent weeks perfecting, cutting it into 2 parts. It's a painful decision, but it's the only way forward. His budget is shattered, but his spirit isn't. He upgrades the vacuum system again, adding a heavy-duty compressor. One final test. The pull is perfect. The plastic wraps around the mold like skin. He's done it. After months of failures, Benny finally creates the perfect canopy. But this victory only opens another challenge: how to join the 2 canopy halves. He fabricates aluminum rails that act as a spine, reinforcing the structure against wind pressure. Dozens of custom brackets hold everything tight. Then he begins the final assembly, mounting the canopy to the motorcycle itself. Every bolt, every weld is critical. If anything fails on the road, it could end in disaster. He fabricates new mounts, modifies the fairing, and builds a custom locking mechanism. Even the mirrors are redesigned and extended for visibility. Gaps are sealed by hand-formed plastic panels, pressed perfectly against the bike's curves. Finally, a roof light completes the build, pushing the total cost to $7,490. After 4 long months, Benny's anti-rain motorcycle is complete. A one-of-a-kind, fully enclosed 2-wheeler ready to face the storm. The moment of truth arrives. Clouds roll in, rain falls. Benny opens the canopy, climbs inside, and rides. Outside, water blurs the world into gray streaks, but inside, it's perfectly dry. Every drop slides away from the canopy's surface. The custom latches hold firm. The road glistens under the storm, yet the rider moves through it untouched. This is more than a motorcycle. It's proof of what one person can create when they refuse to give up. The project tested everything: his patience, his skill, and his limits. But it also proved something bigger. Real innovation doesn't require fancy labs or big budgets. It takes one determined mind willing to dream, fail, and rebuild. From a $600 trailer to a $7,000 masterpiece, Benny's machine stands as a reminder that the power of creation lives in anyone willing to try. Against all odds, in a small garage lit by flickering heaters and raw ambition, one man built a machine that conquered the rain. Sometimes, innovation doesn't come from the biggest companies. It comes from people like Benny, turning failure into invention, and a small garage into a laboratory of dreams. If you enjoyed this story of engineering brilliance, subscribe to Mevron Tech for more incredible builds and inventions that redefine what's possible.